Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something very small that carries enormous power. It's called the 5-second rule. Now, it's not about food falling on the floor. It's about life, choices, and action. Here's the idea. When you feel the urge to act on something you know you should do, whether it's making that call, starting that workout, or speaking up in a meeting, you have a window of about 5 seconds. If you don't move in that window, your mind will step in. It will give you excuses, delays, distractions, and just like that, the opportunity is gone. So what's the rule? Simple: count backward, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Stand up, dial the number, begin the task, take the step. Don't give your hesitation time to build its argument. Success isn't about giant leaps. It's about small decisions stacked over time. Every time you obey that little rule, you're teaching yourself a lesson that you are in charge, not your doubts. And the more you practice, the stronger your discipline becomes. Think about it. 5 seconds is the difference between staying silent and saying something that changes your career. 5 seconds is the difference between staying on the couch and creating a healthier body. 5 seconds is the difference between living in fear and building the life you deserve. The principle is simple. The practice is powerful. Don't wait for motivation. It's unreliable. Don't wait for confidence. It comes after you act, not before. All you need is the courage to push yourself through the first 5 seconds. So from today on, when your instincts whisper, do it. Don't wait. Don't argue. Don't overthink. Just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. And if you do this moment after moment, day after day, I promise you won't just change your habits. You'll transform your life. There is a small but powerful truth about human behavior that many overlook. Action has a window. When an idea enters your mind, when a thought urges you to do something good, when an opportunity presents itself, there is a very short span of time in which you can respond. That window is only a few seconds wide, and it determines whether you act on your instincts or allow hesitation to hold you back. The window of action is not about skill or intelligence. It is about timing and decision. If you respond quickly, you capture momentum. If you delay, you allow doubt to creep in, and doubt has a way of closing the door on action before it even begins. Think about a moment when you had the impulse to say something in a meeting, but you paused, and in that pause your mind started whispering. What if they don't agree? What if I sound foolish? Maybe it's better to stay quiet. In less than 5 seconds, the chance was gone. Not because you lacked the right words or because your point wasn't valuable, but because you hesitated and let the window close. Now consider the opposite. Those times when you acted immediately, spoke up, or raised your hand. Even if you weren't fully prepared, the action itself created energy, and that energy carried you forward. The window of action rewarded your courage. The mind is a master at creating delays. It convinces us that waiting is safer, that more preparation is needed, that tomorrow will be better. But tomorrow never arrives in the way we imagine. What we truly have is the present moment, and the window of action lies there. A person who learns to act within this short window gains a significant advantage in life. They do not allow fear to stretch its roots too deep. They cut it off before it grows, and in doing so, they make progress when others stay still. The window of action also applies to health. You think about exercising, and immediately your mind says, I'll start later. You see the healthy food option, but reach for the convenient one, because you gave yourself time to argue. Yet when you move quickly, when you put on your shoes without debate, when you grab the healthier choice without delay, you strengthen not just your body but your willpower. The decision made within seconds is often the purest one because it is free from excuses. Relationships are also shaped by this window. You feel the urge to tell someone you appreciate them, to offer a kind word, or to reach out after a long silence. If you wait, pride or fear often step in. convincing you that it isn't the right time. But if you act within those first few seconds, you say the words, make the call, or send the message, that small action, taken quickly, can repair a bond, brighten a day, or even change the direction of a relationship. The difference is only a few seconds, but the impact is lasting. The window of action is not a gift reserved for a few, it is available to everyone. Every person experiences the same inner nudge, the same moment of decision, the same call to act. The question is who moves and who delays. Those who move turn ideas into reality. They may not always succeed, but they always learn, and their lives advance. Those who delay often live with regret, replaying the missed chances and wondering what might have been. The beauty of understanding this principle is that it places control back into your hands. You do not need to master the future or plan every step perfectly. You only need to recognize the short opening when it appears and step through it. Once you move, momentum carries you further than you expected. You might discover that a small action leads to opportunities you never imagined. The hardest part is not finishing the journey, it is beginning within that brief window. When you see it this way, transformation becomes simple. You don't need to wait for inspiration or the perfect moment. You only need to trust the signal that comes to you, the instinct that whispers, do it now. The window is always there, ready for you to use. If you seize it, you build a habit of immediate action, and that habit builds a life of progress. If you ignore it, you remain where you are, stuck not because life denied you, but because hesitation did. The countdown technique is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for breaking hesitation and moving into action. It works because it interrupts the cycle of overthinking that so often stops people before they even begin. The mind is a machine of endless debate. It will tell you why something can wait until tomorrow, why it might not work, or why you are not ready. Left unchecked, this inner voice can delay your progress for hours, days, or even years. The countdown cuts through that noise and replaces hesitation with movement. Imagine the moment when you feel the urge to do something important. It might be getting out of bed in the morning, starting a workout, making a difficult phone call, or sharing an idea. In those first seconds, you feel a spark of intent. But then, if you don't act, the excuses begin. I'm tired. I'll do it later. Maybe it's not the right time. That is the exact moment when the countdown is needed. You simply begin at 5 and count backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at 1 you move. Not later, not after more thought, but immediately. Why does this work? Because counting backward requires focus. It pulls your mind away from doubts and locks it onto a simple task. The brain cannot run through endless excuses while it is engaged in counting down. When you reach 1, there is no room for hesitation. You've already created momentum. That shift from thought to action is the bridge that so many people struggle to cross. With this technique, the bridge is shortened to just a few seconds. The power of the countdown lies in its consistency. One countdown will not change your life, but practicing it over and over builds a habit of decisive action. You are teaching yourself that hesitation is not the master of your choices. Every time you move on a 1, you strengthen your ability to act in spite of fear, laziness, or doubt. Over time, this habit rewires how you respond to challenges. Instead of freezing or delaying, your natural instinct becomes to move forward. Consider how this applies to health. You wake up early and your mind whispers, stay in bed a little longer. In that moment, you say to yourself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you get up. That one action changes the tone of your day. Or imagine being at the gym, tired, thinking of quitting before the last set. Instead of giving in, you count down and push yourself into motion. Each time you use the countdown, you are proving that your decisions are stronger than your excuses. The same applies to career or personal growth. Many opportunities are lost, not because people lack skill or intelligence, but because they hesitate. The idea to speak up in a meeting arrives, but within seconds, fear steps in. The impulse to approach a mentor or introduce yourself to someone valuable shows up, but hesitation silences it. With the countdown technique, you bypass the delay, you count, you move, and you act before fear grows roots. That small step could be the start of a relationship, a career opportunity, or a breakthrough moment. The countdown also teaches something even deeper. Confidence does not come before action, it comes after. Many wait until they feel ready before making a move, but readiness is a trap. The truth is, most people never feel fully ready. Confidence grows from doing, from proving to yourself through repeated action that you are capable. By using the countdown, you don't wait for confidence to arrive. You act first, and confidence follows. Another strength of this technique is that it works in every area of life. Whether it is making a decision in business, beginning a difficult conversation, choosing to take the first step toward a dream, or even stopping a bad habit, the countdown puts you in control. It strips away the illusion that hesitation has power over you. You realize that you don't need to negotiate with your feelings. You simply need to move. The most successful people are not those who never feel fear or doubt. They are the ones who act anyway. The countdown technique is a simple reminder that hesitation is temporary, but action is lasting. It gives you a tool you can use anywhere, anytime, with no equipment and no preparation. All it requires is the willingness to move when you reach one. Over time, this small discipline compounds. You begin to see yourself differently. You trust your ability to take action. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions and start creating results with what you have. What begins as a 5-second decision grows into a new identity, a person who acts, a person who chooses progress, a person who transforms hesitation into momentum. And it all starts with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Motivation is often praised as the fuel that drives success, but relying on it alone is one of the biggest mistakes people make. Motivation is fleeting. It rises when circumstances are favorable, when the mood is right, or when the environment supports it. But the moment life becomes difficult, when energy dips or challenges appear, motivation disappears. If action depends on motivation, progress will always be inconsistent. True transformation comes not from waiting to feel motivated, but from learning to act regardless of how you feel in the moment. Action must stand above motivation because action creates results, and results build lasting momentum. Think about how many times people set goals at the beginning of a new year. They feel highly motivated, full of energy and excitement about the possibilities ahead. For a few days or weeks, they act with enthusiasm. But as soon as motivation fades, their commitment weakens, and they slip back into old patterns. The problem is not with their goals, it is with their reliance on motivation as the driving force. Goals don't require constant motivation. They require consistent action. Even when the excitement is gone, the discipline to act is what sustains progress. The truth is that action generates motivation, not the other way around. When you begin, even in a small way, you create momentum. That momentum fuels encouragement, and encouragement begins to feel like motivation. For example, if you don't feel like exercising but you start anyway, within minutes your energy rises, and you begin to feel motivated to continue. The action itself awakens motivation. Waiting for motivation, on the other hand, often means waiting forever. The person who acts first gets the reward of motivation afterward. Another reason to prioritize action over motivation is that emotions are unpredictable. You cannot always control how you feel, but you can always decide what you do. If success depended on feeling good every day, nobody would achieve anything significant. The people who accomplish extraordinary results are not necessarily those who feel motivated all the time. They are those who act in spite of their feelings. They understand that consistency is more valuable than mood. By showing up every day, regardless of energy or emotion, They build habits that no longer depend on fleeting bursts of motivation. Consider how this applies in business or career growth. Many individuals wait until they feel motivated to apply for a new position, start a project, or make a presentation. But opportunities don't wait for feelings. If you wait until you feel ready, chances are you will miss your moment. The person who takes action without waiting for perfect motivation is the one who gets ahead. Action has a way of creating clarity and confidence that thinking or waiting never provides. When you act, you learn. When you act, you gain feedback. When you act, you move forward, while others stand still. In personal development, the same principle holds. Reading books, listening to inspiring talks, or attending seminars may spark motivation, but unless it is followed by immediate action, the spark fades quickly. Knowledge and inspiration without application lead to frustration. Action is what transforms knowledge into growth. For instance, learning about financial discipline means nothing if you don't act by creating a budget or making smarter spending choices. Learning about communication means little if you don't act by having the conversation you've been avoiding. It is the action that delivers the results, not the feeling of being motivated. Action over motivation also builds trust within yourself. Every time you act despite not feeling like it, you prove to yourself that you are capable of discipline. Over time, this self-trust becomes stronger than the temporary pull of laziness or doubt. You begin to identify as someone who follows through, someone who doesn't need to wait for inspiration to get things done. That identity is powerful because it removes the dependency on external factors. You are no longer controlled by how you feel in a moment. You are guided by the standard you have set for yourself. Even in small daily choices, this principle makes a difference. Waking up on time, making healthier decisions, or working on a personal project are rarely driven by motivation alone. Often, they require action in the absence of motivation. Each time you do this, you reinforce the truth that progress comes from discipline. The irony is that once you act, motivation usually follows. It's as if action unlocks the energy you were waiting for, but it only appears after you've moved. The lesson is simple: stop waiting for motivation to arrive. It is unreliable and inconsistent. Instead, take action, no matter how small. Start before you feel ready, move before you feel like it, and trust that motivation will catch up. Over time, you'll discover that the most important steps in life are often taken without motivation, but with courage, discipline, and commitment. Those are the qualities that build success. Motivation may be the spark that gets you started, but action is the fire that keeps you moving. Life is rarely shaped by one dramatic decision or a single defining moment. Instead, it is shaped by the accumulation of small choices made every day. These choices, almost invisible in the moment, carry enormous weight over time. A person does not suddenly become successful or suddenly fail. Rather, they drift toward one outcome or the other through the sum of their small, consistent decisions. Discipline is not born from occasional effort, it is forged through repetition. The things you do consistently, even when they feel small or insignificant, shape your habits, and your habits shape your destiny. Many people wait for a surge of willpower to carry them forward, but willpower is limited. Discipline, on the other hand, is developed by teaching yourself to repeat the right actions until they become part of who you are. The secret is not in doing something extraordinary once, but in doing the ordinary things over and over until they create extraordinary results. Repetition is often misunderstood. People think it is boring, dull, or lacking in creativity, but repetition is the foundation of mastery. Think of an athlete training for competition. They do not practice a move once and expect perfection. They repeat it thousands of times until it becomes second nature, until their body responds without hesitation. A musician doesn't play a song once and call themselves skilled. They rehearse, repeat, and refine until their fingers and mind are aligned with the music. In the same way, discipline in life is built by repeating the actions that move you closer to your goals, even when they feel ordinary. When you commit to repetition, you remove the weight of decision-making. Instead of debating whether to take action each day, you simply follow the pattern you've established. If you decide to write for 30 minutes a day, you don't ask yourself whether you feel like writing. You just do it. If you decide to exercise 3 times a week, you don't argue with yourself when the time arrives. You follow the plan. The repetition removes the emotional negotiation, and discipline grows stronger because your actions are no longer dependent on your feelings. The beauty of discipline through repetition is that it creates momentum. At first, it feels hard. Your mind resists, your body complains, and every excuse rises to the surface. But when you repeat the action often enough, it becomes easier. The resistance weakens, and the habit begins to take root. Soon, the very thing that once felt difficult becomes automatic. You no longer need to fight with yourself to get started. You simply do it because it has become part of your identity. Repetition is what turns effort into ease. Consider personal growth. Reading one book may inspire you, but reading a little every day builds a mind that grows sharper and wiser over time. Practicing gratitude once may lift your mood, but practicing it daily rewires the way you see the world. Writing in a journal once may clear your thoughts, but making it a daily habit strengthens your self-awareness. The repeated action is what deepens the impact. Discipline is not in the single act. It is in the commitment to repeat the act until it shapes your character. Repetition also builds resilience. When you practice discipline regularly, you prove to yourself that you can push through discomfort, boredom, or distraction. Each time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your inner resolve. It's like lifting weights. The more you challenge yourself through consistent effort, the stronger you become. Soon, what once required immense effort feels natural. Discipline grows stronger not in moments of ease, but in moments when repetition demands effort despite resistance. This principle extends to every area of life. In relationships, showing love once in a while is not enough. Consistently choosing to communicate, to listen, and to express kindness is what builds a lasting bond. In finances, saving a little money once will not secure your future. Consistently saving and managing money over years creates stability and wealth. In health, eating one nutritious meal does not transform your body, but eating healthy consistently changes your energy, strength, and vitality. It is always the repeated action that delivers the real transformation. The challenge with repetition is that it feels slow. People want instant results, dramatic change, or immediate recognition. But repetition is quiet. It is not flashy or glamorous. It is the discipline of doing what needs to be done day after day without applause. Yet in time, the quiet effort speaks loudly. Those who commit to repetition rise above those who only act when motivated. The disciplined reap the rewards, while the undisciplined remain stuck in cycles of inconsistency. Discipline through repetition also creates freedom. At first, it may feel restrictive to commit to certain actions over and over. But as the habit grows, the effort decreases, and the results increase. You are no longer trapped by procrastination, indecision, or lack of motivation. You gain the freedom of progress, the freedom of health, the freedom of stability, and the freedom of confidence. What feels like restriction at the beginning becomes the pathway to liberation. When you look at anyone who has achieved mastery in any field, you will find that their greatness did not come from a single moment of brilliance. It came from years of disciplined repetition. The same applies to life as a whole. Whether you want to grow in wisdom, health, relationships, or success, the key lies in repeating the right actions long enough for them to bear fruit. Discipline is not about doing something once. It is about committing to do it again and again until it shapes who you are and what you achieve. Courage is often thought of as a grand, heroic quality displayed in moments of extreme danger or challenge, but in truth, courage is built and revealed in much smaller windows of time. It lives in the seconds before you decide to act, in the brief gap between hesitation and movement. Those few seconds determine whether you let fear control you or whether you take charge and move forward. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in spite of fear, and that decision is often made in an instant. A few seconds can be the dividing line between staying silent or speaking up, between staying comfortable or taking a leap that changes your future. Everyday life offers countless opportunities to practice this kind of courage. You may feel the urge to introduce yourself to someone new, share an idea, or volunteer for a responsibility, but almost immediately doubt appears. Thoughts like, what if I fail? What if I'm rejected?
What if I'm not ready?
Start to flood your mind. If you hesitate long enough, the chance passes and you remain where you are. But if you act within those first few seconds, before fear builds its case, you step into courage. The act may seem small, but the impact is significant, because you are proving to yourself that fear does not decide your life. Courage in seconds is also what breaks the cycle of procrastination. The hardest part of any task is not completing it, but starting it. Fear of failure or the weight of the work convinces you to delay. But when you count down and move within those crucial seconds, you bypass hesitation. You begin, and once you begin, momentum carries you forward. That initial spark of courage, exercised in only a few seconds, becomes the key that unlocks progress. Think about the moments in history or even in personal stories where courage made the difference. Many times, it was not hours of deliberation, but a split-second choice that changed everything. The decision to stand up, to say no, to defend a value, or to seize an opportunity often happens in a blink. And while the choice may feel small in the moment, it sets off a chain of events that can alter the course of a life. Courage does not wait until all the fear disappears. It steps forward while the fear is still present, trusting that action will carry it through. In relationships, courage in seconds can be transformative. It might be the decision to say, I love you, to apologize sincerely, or to express what you truly feel. It could be the moment you decide to forgive someone who hurt you, or the moment you choose to walk away from a toxic situation. These decisions do not require hours of preparation. They require a few seconds of boldness. And in those seconds, lives and connections can be healed, strengthened, or set free. In career and personal growth, courage often determines who advances and who stays behind. Many opportunities appear suddenly and demand a quick response. A question is asked, a challenge is presented, or a door is opened. Those who hesitate often watch the chance slip away. Those who act within those few seconds gain experiences that expand their skills, reputation, and confidence. It is not that they never feel nervous. It is that they decide to move anyway. Courage is not the absence of butterflies in the stomach. It is moving forward while they are still fluttering. The power of courage in seconds is that it grows stronger the more you practice it. At first, it feels uncomfortable, even terrifying. But every time you choose action over hesitation, you reinforce the habit of bravery. The brain learns that fear does not have to dictate the outcome. Over time, this repeated practice builds resilience, and what once seemed impossible becomes manageable. The seconds that once felt overwhelming become the seconds where you thrive. It's important to understand that courage is not about always making the perfect choice. Sometimes you will act and stumble. But even in those moments, courage serves you because failure teaches lessons that hesitation never can. Acting with courage gives you experience, while avoiding action leaves you with nothing but regret. Most people do not look back on their lives regretting the risks they took. They regret the moments when fear won in those few seconds and they failed to act. Courage in seconds also gives you freedom. Fear seeks to chain you, to hold you back in the comfort of the familiar. But courage, even in small doses, breaks those chains. Each time you push yourself to act in those few seconds, you expand your world. You discover new abilities, new opportunities, and new strength within yourself. Life does not open up to those who wait for fear to disappear. It opens up to those who take the step while fear is still present. What makes this principle so powerful is that anyone can practice it. You don't need special training, endless preparation, or extraordinary resources. All you need is a willingness to move in the moment when fear whispers, wait. Those seconds belong to you, and what you do with them determines the story of your life. Choose to act, and you cultivate a life of growth and progress. Choose to hesitate, and you remain where you are. Courage is built and revealed in those seconds, and those seconds are always within your grasp. Transformation is often imagined as a sudden breakthrough, a dramatic shift that happens in an instant and changes everything. But real transformation is rarely like that. It is not a single event. It is the product of consistency over time. The person who wakes up one morning with a new set of habits or a new life didn't get there by accident. They built it, day by day, through repeated effort, through showing up again and again, even when the excitement was gone. Consistency is the true engine of transformation because it turns small actions into lasting change. When you are consistent, you teach yourself discipline. You no longer depend on bursts of motivation to carry you forward because consistency creates its own momentum. At first, it might feel difficult to stay the course. The results are not visible and the work feels repetitive. But over time, consistency compounds. What once felt like effort begins to feel natural, and what once felt insignificant begins to show undeniable results. Transformation is not about how fast you move, but about how steadily you move in the same direction. Think about health and fitness. Doing one workout won't make you stronger, and eating one healthy meal won't transform your body. But doing it consistently, week after week, month after month, creates change that is visible and lasting. The person who commits to consistency does not need perfection, they only need persistence. Missing a single day does not matter if the overall pattern remains steady. Transformation in health is not a sudden leap. It is the slow, steady layering of small improvements that build strength, energy, and vitality over time. The same is true in learning and personal growth. Reading one book may inspire you, but reading regularly expands your mind and shapes your perspective. Practicing a new skill once may feel exciting, but practicing it consistently builds mastery. Writing in a journal once may provide clarity, but writing every day deepens your self-awareness and sharpens your thinking. Consistency multiplies the impact of effort. One action is a spark, repeated action is a fire that sustains itself and lights the path forward. In relationships, transformation also comes from consistency. A single act of kindness may warm someone's heart for a moment, but consistent kindness builds trust, love, and connection. A single conversation may help resolve a conflict, but consistent communication builds understanding that lasts. Relationships grow stronger not because of one grand gesture, but because of small, steady choices made over and over again. Choosing to listen, to appreciate, and to be present consistently transforms ordinary connections into meaningful bonds. Consistency is also the foundation of trust, both with others and with yourself. When you consistently do what you say you will do, others learn that they can depend on you. When you consistently show up for your own commitments, you learn that you can depend on yourself. This self-trust is transformative because it changes the way you view challenges. Instead of doubting whether you will follow through, you trust the pattern you've built. You know that even when you don't feel like it, you have trained yourself to act. That identity, of being reliable and disciplined, is the real transformation consistency brings. The challenge with consistency is that the rewards are delayed. Human nature craves quick results, but true progress often shows itself slowly. This is why many people quit too early. They work hard for a short time, see little change, and assume their effort isn't paying off. But consistency works like planting seeds. For a long time, nothing seems to be happening beneath the surface, but eventually, growth appears. The key is to keep tending the garden, to keep showing up even when results are invisible. Over time, the harvest arrives, and it is far greater than what the impatient ever experience. Consistency also simplifies life. Once a pattern is established, the decision is no longer up for debate. If you commit to writing every morning, exercising every afternoon, or saving a portion of your income each month, you no longer waste energy wondering whether you should do it. You just do it. This reduction of decision fatigue frees up mental energy for creativity, problem solving, and growth. Consistency removes the weight of constant choice and replaces it with the ease of habit. Transformation through consistency is not about perfection. Everyone stumbles, misses a day, or falls short sometimes. The key is to return quickly and continue the pattern. A missed step does not erase the progress of 1,000 repeated actions. What matters is not flawless execution, but relentless persistence. Consistency forgives small mistakes because it values the bigger picture of long-term growth. When you look at anyone who has achieved lasting success, you will see the quiet power of consistency at work. Behind every achievement is the discipline of showing up day after day, long before the world noticed. Behind every strong relationship